That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen.
Receivers, and this time he lost one and it's picked off.
And Brady and Moss hook off great football players, showing why they're great.
He's got it. 20, 10. He's got it. End zone. Touchdown Titans.
Well, happy hump day there, sports fans. How you all doing tonight? I know it's been kind of crazy around here in Hernando Beach last few days down here in Florida. We'll get to some of the fun things we went through over the weekend and get to some announcements and some football news and check in with you guys and see how things are going. Want to start the show off like always and thank our sponsors. I'd like to definitely send a shout out to the Freaky Tiki and Norm over there that does the pontoon boat rides out here in Hernando Beach. Has a lot of fun out there watching the sunsets and having drinks and music and taking people for tours out here in Hernando Beach. Want to thank Norm for all your support. I appreciate it. I want to thank Steve and Nikki at Premier Properties for all and everything you guys do for us. J.R. Lewis, I want to thank you for your support and everything you do. And Tailgater Deluxe, Lisa, I want to thank you for everything you're doing with all the putting together, taking sports to some of the not so fortunate people, elderly, disabled kids, and all of that. So all that stuff's on a good front. Been busy with March Madness, been busy with NFL owners meeting, free agency, getting ready for the draft. Want to talk a little bit to start tonight off by tonight making history. You know, been a while since we've been to the moon. These guys aren't going to walk on the moon on this trip, but they did. They are making space history by going further into space than anyone ever has. So we just launched that off. It's been a long-awaited journey. These guys just blasted off a little while ago. Want to wish them guys all safe travels. It went real good. In fact, launch was, I don't know, scheduled for like 6:24. I know they had like a 10-minute delay, but here's a picture of it from my house. Actually, you can kind of see the, you know, the jet stream, smoke stream, jet trail stream. And I'm on the whole other side of the coast of Florida. And I couldn't see the fire, you know, the blast off part, but I definitely could see the chemtrail, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I'm probably a little over 100 and, I don't know, maybe 110, 115, 20 miles from Titusville over there where the Space Center is. So I'm on the whole other side of the state, but that's took that picture just a little while ago out in the driveway. So that was kind of cool. I remember back in 1984, I think it was, I lived in Palm Bay, Florida, and kind of always brings back eerie feeling when the Challenger explosion blew up. I was driving cement mixer back in the day, and it was cold that day, so they called us off of work, so I wasn't working, so I was at the house. And I actually got snapshot photos from my porch back in 1984 of the Challenger blowing up. So that was kind of always brings back a memory every time I take pictures of the launch. But so making history today in the space industry. It's kind of cool. They're hoping to, I think they're saying like 2028, doing another moonwalk. That would be cool. And then had a little bit of not so much fun here. You know, Hernando Beach is, that is not a sunset, by the way. We have a lot of nice sunsets here. That is a fire. Right next to where I live here in Hernando Beach, there is a national wildlife preserve, and it's got a few, you know, lakes out there and canals and rivers, and it's, you know, it borders Weeki Wachee where everybody does all the kayaking. It's about just under 2 miles, that picture right there, just under 2 miles from the house. we had big wildfire this weekend, and boy, I'll tell you what, the embers were blowing. It was windy. So we had a pretty close call here in Hernando Beach with all the businesses that came right up to the edge of the town road, the main road going in and out of town. So, that was quite the thing. Here's another picture. This one was taken a little closer. This is about as far as we could get to it. This is probably a little less than a half a mile from my house. But that was the scene this weekend with all the smoke and the fire and all of that. It was a little scary, between the hurricanes and the fires, I guess. Maybe somebody's trying to say it's time to move. But anyway, so it was exciting around here. And, the baseball season kicked off this week, and the Rays down here in Tampa Bay, we do a lot of reporting on them with our Tampa media stuff. And I think they started out the week out there in St. Louis with the Cardinals, came out of a 3-game series on that. I think they won 1 game out of the 3 games. Then they moved over to Milwaukee to the Brewers, and they won 1 and lost 2. In fact, today was the last game of that 3-game series, 8-2. The Brewers took that, so they walk out of there with a win. The Brewers did. We took 1 game out of that 3-game series, so the Rays are at 2-4 right now. Everybody's got the Rays way down the list in the American League this year. Most people got them finishing dead last. There's a lot of exciting things going on with the Rays. We got new ownership this year. They're talking about moving the stadium and moving it over to the Tampa Bay side, moving it out of St. Pete. During Hurricane Milton, we lost the roof on the Trop, which is the home field for the Rays. So last year they had to play the whole season at the Yankees practice field at Steinbrenner Field here in Tampa. So, the Rays as a team are kind of struggling right now. The offense is doing good. Yandy Diaz is, I think, leading the whole MLB with hits. The offense has been doing pretty well. Where we're really struggling is a bullpen. I mean, Jax just continues to choke. And, we've got a lot of injuries. We got guys coming back off from, injuries. And so it's just going to be a struggling season. So Rays fans, be prepared for that. One thing we are excited about is, opening day at home. This is actually the view of Tropicana on the rebuild. We got the roof back on. Opening day for us at home for the Rays is going to be Monday, April 6th. It's a day game, so I won't be able to make that because I got to work. But there is a lot going on, a lot of excitement, a lot of emotion. Everybody getting back into the Trop after the hurricane. They did a lot of renovations of the stadium. So there's a lot of hype in town between getting back to the Trop, the new ownership, and, the new stadium that they're trying to put into Hillsborough County in downtown Tampa, right down the street from Raymond James where the Bucks play. But so there's a lot of excitement. We got a big party going on opening day with WDAE, which is our local sports station. All the guys are going to be there. T. Crass is going to be there. Nick Wise is going to be there. Chris Mathis, the Pat and Aaron show. All them guys are going to be down there starting at 6:00 in the morning. So all you baseball fans that want to call in sick for the day on Monday, head on over to Ferg's. It's going to be at the Ferg's sports place there. So if you want to get your day drink on and head down there and grab yourself a ticket for the Tampa Bay Rays will be doing their home opening day on Monday. So get up and go down there and show them your support. So that'll be cool. The owners meeting for the NFL owners and coaches, they met out there in Phoenix this week, and there was a lot going on, a lot of things talked about. They talked about the onside kick. They changed the rule a little bit again. They talked about expansion, moving to playing a game in Melbourne, Australia, Melbourne. They talked a little bit about replacement refs getting ready to deal with, the work dispute with the refs. They talked about moving to 18 games. They talked about, the Seahawks are for sale. They talked about that. They talked about the Raiders' succession plan. It looks like Durbin may be the successor for at least holding the majority stake of the Raiders moving forward. So they talked about a lot of things. McCarthy for the Steelers, the coach, he did an interview, and I kind of like to hear this. And for you fantasy guys that got some stock in Will Howard, it was kind of, is he going to play? Is he not going to play? Sounds like McCarthy likes this Will Howard kid, so that was kind of encouraging from a fantasy football standpoint. A little bit of a blast from the past. Do you think this guy can come back and play football? He teamed up and they were playing that flag football stuff where Brady was quarterback and they had all kinds of old guys out there, young guys out there. It was pretty cool to see him, Brady slinging the ball. That was kind of cool. But OBJ, you think he can make another run in the NFL, or do you think this dude's used up, washed up, and can't play no more? Well, that was another interview out there in Phoenix. John Harbaugh has been talking to OBJ about maybe making a return to the New York Giants, if you can believe that or not. Guy's been out of football for a little bit. He looked pretty good down there playing football, flag football. Of course, that's not getting hit, and that's not the NFL, but would be kind of cool to see OBJ back. I know after guys, all the fantasy guys seen him playing, and then the talk of John Harbaugh talking him up, saying he might bring him back to the Giants this year. Boy, did the waiver wire burn up with OBJ. So that was kind of cool to watch. So some of the other things talked about out there, and was announced that the Jags, Jacksonville Jaguars, while they're doing their renovations on their stadium next year, they will be playing their 2027 season at Camping World Stadium in downtown Orlando. So look for the Jags to be in Orlando. I heard their practice field is going to be in Sanford, Florida, which is just down the street from Orlando. But anyways, that was kind of cool to hear that the Jags are going to do some renovations to their stadium up there in Jacksonville, and they will be playing in downtown Orlando next year. So that was another thing that was talked about. And we're going to come back to a few of the other things. I kind of like this one, the interview that Aaron Glenn did, head coach of the Jets, how he said, Geno Smith going to lead the Jets to the promised land. You believe that? I'll tell you what, never ceases to amaze me what comes out of the Jets. It's just crazy to think that Geno Smith is going to lead the Jets to the promised land. He didn't do so well last year at the Raiders. But anyway, one more thing, interview that was done. We're going to wait and talk about some of the things Jason Light, the coach of the Bucs, talked about. We're going to wait on that and talk about that a little bit later. We talked about all the baseball stuff. That's out of the way. And we talked about the Jags. That's out of the way. Oh, some of the other things they talked about out there at the owners' meeting was changing the Monday night schedule. They're not going to do the double games next year. They're going to do the standalone one game only on Monday Night Football, which I think is a good idea. I always enjoy more football, don't get me wrong, but to me it was a little much. You kind of had to decide which game you wanted to watch. I think they found that from a viewer standpoint, from a money standpoint, I think they stand to make more money from a TV standpoint with just a standalone game. But so no more doubleheader Monday nights going into 2026. It'll only be one game. They talked about spreading those games out either during the holidays, around Christmas time or whatnot. But they're going to spread those games that were scheduled doubleheaders. They're going to mix it up and do some rescheduling and kind of do things a little different. So I was kind of liking that news. Some other news that made headlines in the sports world and golf. Our boy Tiger can't seem to get rid of the pills. Boy, look at that cat. He looks rough. Man, he looks rough. But anyways, poor Tiger Woods. Not poor Tiger Woods. Rich Tiger Woods definitely has an addiction problem and definitely cannot drive. Everybody says, hey, why doesn't he just get a chauffeur? Why doesn't he just hire somebody? Well, his claim is privacy. I guess I can get that from one side of the fence. If you are doing a bunch of stuff that you don't want people to know, then I can understand that. But if the guy was upright and straightforward, I get it. He wants to avoid paparazzi, but let's face it, he's not the Kardashians, So, and he's not in the limelight like he used to be when he was playing. I don't think that a whole lot of people give a shit where Tiger Woods is shooting a practice round or doing what he does. But I think his excuse for not getting a driver, to me, is he doesn't want people to know how many trips he makes to the pharmacy or who his girlfriends are. Or that's just my play on it, because is much of a problem as he's got with his medication in driving a car, falling asleep in a car, wrecking a car, flipping a car. For Christ's sakes, this dude just rolled a car in a 25-mile-an-hour zone. Not only did he just roll the damn thing, he wiped out the whole front end of it by hitting that trailer behind that pickup truck in a 25-mile-an-hour zone. He's lucky he didn't run somebody over. He's lucky he didn't kill somebody. Lucky he didn't have his kid in the car, his wife in the car, girlfriend, whatever, in the car. Sooner or later, we're going to read about this cat either killing himself or killing somebody else. This dude needs help. And I really hope Tiger gets help. It sounds like maybe he is, but we've been down this road with Tiger with rehab before. It obviously didn't work the first time. We know how it is with addiction. It's a hard road, whether it's alcohol, pills, or dope. It's just a bad deal. And to see Tiger struggling, I don't want to say it breaks my heart. I just think somebody close to this guy needs to get to him and, look him right in the eye and shake him around a little bit and say, look, dude, it's time. So he definitely looks like shit. He definitely has an addiction problem, and he definitely should not be behind the wheel. So we'll see. I think he pled guilty, I think he pled not guilty in his hearing that he had this week. And then on top of it, it comes out in the news that the dude had hydrocodone in his pocket, not in a pill bottle in the car, not, he had this loose pills in his pocket, which I get it. When I got my motorcycle wrecked, some of the medication I would, take it with me so that if I was going to be away from the house, I'd put a couple in my pocket too. But you would think he'd have been smart enough to throw them out of his pocket, or maybe he just thinks he don't need to because they're prescribed to him. But he obviously didn't have a pill bottle with him to prove to the officers that they were his pills. So I'm sure he does have a prescription for it, but he couldn't provide it the day he was arrested. So that was just another, notch that he's got to answer to. But enough of the Tiger. Hope he gets good. Hope he gets well. And I don't know if any of you guys are into NASCAR or not. Here's a little fact. Alan Kawicki back in the early 90s won his championship in 1992. And on this day today, we lost Alan Kawicki in 1993. So this is a day that we remember Alan Kawicki. The dude was a real small team. He did a lot of the work on his car himself, was a great engineer mind. He was smart. He was an innovator. and he actually won a championship as a car owner driver with a really small team. You know, Hooters was his sponsor for a long, long time. And today in 1993 was a sad day. We lost him in a plane crash. So remembering Alan Kowicki today. And on a little different note with NASCAR, I don't know if you guys watched the Martinsville race this last weekend. You know, Denny Hamlin led that whole race pretty much, one stage 1, one stage 2, and then lost the race to Chase Elliott, which I was happy for. And Denny can blame half of it on his driver, Bubba Wallace, for bringing out a caution that wrecked half of the field. And I guess his excuse is he misjudged the corner. Well, it's really not about that. If you watch the race and know Bubba Wallace, he's a retaliator. He likes to whine and cry. He likes to throw his weight around. And he was pissed off with Hocevar and ran him over in the corner. Not only did he run him over, he ran through him and never lifted. I don't know if any of you guys watched it, but I just shook my head in amazement. Bubba Wallace needs to be suspended. And in fact, I'm a big Hardee's mushroom burger dude. But I can promise you this, it'll be a long time before I go back to Hardee's. So boycott Hardee's and boycott Bubba Wallace, because the guy is a piece of shit. And you guys all know me. I speak my mind. So it isn't about the color. It isn't about anything else. It's about Bubba Wallace is a crybaby. He's been a crybaby. This is not the only driver he's had issue with. He had issues with Kyle Larson. He's had issues with Kyle Busch. He's had issues with just about everybody on the track. And so I hope NASCAR finds him. I hope NASCAR sits him, because what he did to Hocevar this weekend was crazy bad. And if NASCAR doesn't sit him, Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan should. So that's my take on Bubba Wallace and his driving style. I don't mind rough driving. I love Dale Earnhardt. I love Kevin Harvick. I loved all the guys that pushed people around in a race car, but Bubba Wallace doesn't do it like that. He just intentionally drives through people, and somebody needs to do something about it. All right, let's talk a little bit of Najee Harris. You know, Najee Harris had a pretty decent career at Pittsburgh, moved out there to the West Coast, and was playing for the Chargers. I got a lot of stock in Najee in fantasy. You know, he had his injury last year that put him out for the Chargers, didn't play barely, and is recovering well, has made a couple moves in free agency. I guess he interviewed with the Seahawks, interviewed, I think, with the Raiders. Where do you guys think Najee's going to land? Do you think Najee's going to be RB1 this year? You think he's going to be a backup? What's Najee Harris's value in fantasy football? I think he'll score a number 1. He might have to prove it, but to me, Najee Harris is still a number 1, even after the injury. I think it was Achilles. I think he'll be fine. He looks good in all his workouts that he's doing now. I think the guy's a stud. I think he'll be a running back 1 in 2026. Where he lands, I don't know. You know, they definitely need help at running back at the Seahawks now that, you know, Walker's moved down to Kansas City. So, and Charbonnet coming off a major injury, you know, the Seahawks are going to have to do something at running back, and I don't think the draft is the answer for them. They're way too far down to even get a starting running back out of this year's draft. So be interesting to see where Najee Harris is. I'm a Najee fan, so be interesting to see where he lands. Looking forward to that. Let's see what else we got. We got rid of that. We got rid of the Kowicki Hocevar Bubba deal. Okay, let's talk about, you know, free agency's kind of wound down a little bit. I still think you'll see some things hit and miss before the draft happens in April, late April. We're only just a couple weeks away from, what are we, 25 days away? from the draft. So I think free agency is going to kind of slow down a little bit. And these guys are getting prepared for the draft now that they've made their splashes or made their Band-Aids, fixes in free agency. And I think you won't see too much happen until June with guys like Diggs, guys like A.J. Brown. Do I think they're still going to be, do I think A.J. Brown's going to be traded? I do. I just think it's going to be after June. Stephon Diggs is still a free agent. Deebo Samuel's a free agent. You still got some free agents floating around out there. So do they go before the draft? I think everybody's going to kind of wait and see how they do in the draft. While we're talking about the draft, last week we kind of talked about a few guys. This week I want to talk about this guy, Joe Mackey Award winner, Eli Stowers, tight end for Vanderbilt. Now, to me, just winning that award alone says a lot for the kid. But if you really look into these stats for this guy, I mean, he's like 6'4", 239, 240. The dude was a quarterback in college. So the guy's smart. He's got good hands. He's a great receiver. He's not so much an inline blocker as much. He's more of a pass catcher. He's kind of like a Kincaid, but I think way better than Kincaid for Buffalo Bills. So, I kind of wanted to highlight, you guys know how I feel about Sadiq from Oregon. He's definitely the number one tight end in the draft. The dude is a freak. So outside of Sadiq, I think it comes down to this cat right here, the dude from the dude from Ohio State, and then Delp. That Texas kid is good too. But this guy, Eli Stowers, if you look at some of his stats, 2025, he had 62 receptions, 85 targets. His pass catching percentage was 72.9. That's insane for a tight end. 769 yards, 4 TDs. All right, I would like to see those TDs a little higher, but it's still not bad for a tight end. So this kid out of Vanderbilt, Eli Stowers, you fantasy guys that are either in that are in tight end premium, definitely be looking at this kid. Is he going to start right off the bat? Again, just like all these rookies, guys, it all depends on the landing spot. The landing spot for rookies. Yeah, it can make or break their career. It can make or break your fantasy league if you are relying on rookies. Now, you can have home runs with a rookie. It happens every year. Whether it's a wide receiver, a running back, or even defensive side of the ball. It all depends on the landing spot in the scheme of the offense. So where's a good landing spot for this kid that I think? Denver Broncos. I think a good landing spot for him is the Denver Broncos. I think another good landing spot for him would be the Miami Dolphins. Guys that need a good running back and are willing to take a chance. Somewhat like a Bowers. Is he as good as Bowers? Is he as good as some of these guys that were killer rookies? Tyler Warren, is he a Tyler Warren? No. He's got the athleticism of a Tyler Warren. He's got the athleticism to back up what he does. So I really like this kid. I'll be looking to pick him up, especially in my 2 tight end leagues, my TEP leagues where it's tight end premium. I would definitely take a chance on him. Is he a round 1 pickup? All depends. This is a guy like in a Devy league, you could really score a good pickup with a guy like this because Sadiq, if you look at some of your, depleted drafts, your depleted rookie drafts in Devy, guys like Sadiq are showing up. So, obviously you're going to take Sadiq if you got a high draft pick in the depleted draft. Now, other guys had Sadiq in their Devy drafts, so he's not there. So guys like this guy, Delp, these are the tight ends you need to be looking at in your rookie depleted drafts in a Devy league. Now, in a straight-up startup, no. In a straight-up rookie draft in a dynasty, I would be looking to pick this kid up in a mid-second. There's no doubt about it. I don't believe that he's a first-round pick in a rookie draft for a dynasty league. but he's close. So depending on where you're drafting, it's a sneaky play. You know, if you're in the back of your rookie draft, you know, like a 110, 112, 109, 110, I'd be looking at the draft board and really looking to see what's there. Would I be taking him from some of the wide receivers that aren't going to go? No, but he's definitely somebody I would pick up before I take a running back chance, because this kid does stand a very good chance to start. So if you're looking for a tight end in your rookie drafts, if you're looking for it in a startup, it's definitely, you know, down there late. But I look for him to do good things in the NFL. I think depending on his landing spot, he could be a starter. So that's my tight end highlight for rookie draft coming up. We're going to be talking a little bit about running backs. Next week, we're going to highlight some of the running backs below, you know, Jeremiah Love, because we all know Jeremiah Love is probably the overall number one pick, should be, in my book, even over Mendoza. But again, it's all about landing spot, and it's all about what these teams need. You know, some of these teams take best player overall. Some of these teams take in draft by what their needs are. And so it's just going to kind of depend. I definitely think the teammate to Love, Price, I really like that kid too. Like I said, we're going to talk more about running backs next week. So we will look forward to that. All right. Get those out of my way. And all right, so that kind of gets us down to a couple other things. We still got March Madness going on. To me, that Duke game was crazy. I mean, crazy. Did UConn deserve to win the game? I guess. They played good by coming back in the game. So they played they were 19 down at one time, 19, then 15, and they just kept chipping away, and they just chipped away and got back and put themselves in position to be close. And then they put themselves in position to win. And I don't know about what was said in the timeout before the end of the game on what the coaches talked about. But, I mean, Boozer, all he had to do was hang on to the ball. Just hang on to the ball. I get it. Okay, if they would have tied him up and it would have been a jump ball, the arrow was for UConn to get the ball. So, yeah, that would have been, you know, a bad thing. But then all you had to do was sit up and play defense. And by then the clock would have been out. So, you know, you can say a lot of things. It was just a bad pass by Boozer. I feel bad for the kid. He played a great game other than that. And I'm sure by the way the coach was telling him where to throw the ball, I think if the coach would have just left Boozer alone, I think he would have held on to the ball, or he would have dribbled it up the court. And I really think the game would have been over. But this is March Madness. This is why we all watch it, whether it's the Cinderellas or the upsets, whether it's the blue chips, you know, whether it's, you know, playing it by chalk and seeing how it goes. You just never know. And that's why we all love March Madness. So the Final Four, we got Illinois against UConn in that game. It's going to be a close one. I'm going to take Illinois in that game. And then you got Arizona and Michigan. A lot of people are saying that should be the championship. Well, it's not. It's not the way the bracket was set up for this year. Title game is not going to be Michigan and Arizona. So Arizona's playing good basketball, but I don't think they're as consistent as Michigan. I look for Michigan to win this game. I think it's going to be a little bit higher point spread win than what the books got it at. So I'm taking Michigan in that game. So that's going to be wrapping up March Madness. For all you basketball fans, I know Inner Circle, DFS, we had 6 fantasy basketball leagues this year, our lock-in leagues. They were a lot of fun on Sleeper. We just finished up our championship, so congratulations to all you guys. We will be bringing some of you guys on air next week to talk a little bit about your season. I didn't fare that well in basketball this year. I was right on the borderline of making the playoffs in both all the six leagues, but I did not make the playoffs in any of them. So congratulations to you guys. It was a new format this year for us. Let me know how you liked it. Didn't like how we had the payouts, how we, paid out 4 guys, how we only had, the format for the playoffs. We kind of dropped how many guys were available to make the playoffs to kind of make it a little bit more fun. And we wanted to pay out everybody in the Final Four. So pay attention to how things close out in those leagues in Inner Circle, guys, because we got some announcements to make of what we're going to do next year, what we're going to do in the off season, and what we're going to do to be adding leagues to Inner Circle next year on the NBA side. So touched on that a little bit. So one of the other things that took place out at the meeting, like I said, I was going to get to Jason Light with the Bucks. And you guys know me being in Tampa Bay area. I talk a lot about the Tampa Bay teams. It's kind of my side job with, the Tampa Bay media that I'm involved in. So if you guys are not Bucks fans and you want to tune out, go ahead and tune out. But Jason Light at the owners meeting, coaches meeting in Arizona, he was talking about wanting to secure this dude, wanting to get this dude wrapped up. Now, Baker's contract goes through this year of 2026. He's under contract through this year. There's been a lot of talk on what Baker Mayfield's worth is, what his value is from a money standpoint. Okay, so now Baker came in and I think signed like a $36 million plus contract. Did he live up to that? Yes, he did, as far as I'm concerned. For Christ's sake, we were talking Baker Mayfield. I know I was, and a whole lot of people were talking about possible MVP at the beginning of the season this year. Didn't turn out that way. They kind of self-destructed, melted down due to injuries, due to everything. Okay, just didn't happen. But where are they going to be at the end of next year? End of 2026 when his contract is up. So Jason Light talked about, hey, I want to concentrate on getting some of these guys signed. They got Yaya Diaby. His contract is through this year also on the defensive side, and Vita Vea on the defensive side. So he's got 2 big price tags to come up with outside of Baker in my mind, okay? There's really nobody else that they have to worry about other than Yaya and Vita Vea and Baker. So to me, losing Mike Evans, that frees up capital. With Levante David retiring, that frees up money. And they're young, losing Jamel Dean, freed up money. So there's a lot of holes to fill. And the way that they went about free agency, they went, I don't want to say the cheap way, but kind of. That's what they did. They just kind of put a Band-Aid on all this and are hoping that they hit a home run in the draft. Now, a lot of people say that we have to draft defense. We have to draft defense in this draft. I believe that too. But he's going to have to get creative because the Bucks are pick 15 in the first round. So that's not going to get you a home run hitter on defense, okay? It's going to be someone that you believe in. It's going to be someone that's athletic, and it's going to have to be someone that's a terrorizer and that can make a difference on defense. Because the acquisitions they picked up in free agency, I love Angeloni, but he's not a wrecker, and he's older. All the guys that they took are all older guys. So to me, to talk a little bit about what Jason Light, obviously he wants to retain Baker Mayfield, and rightfully so. Because if you look at the temperature of the quarterbacks in the league at this point, there's not a whole lot of guys available that are as good as Baker. Okay, so now you start talking about what's Baker's worth going forward, okay? He's making about $40 million right now, $39 million. Okay, so let's make some comparisons. Comparing to Jared Goff, Detroit. Okay, Jared Goff's making what? $53 million. All right, so who else you want to compare you to? Brock Purdy. Okay, let's compare him to Brock Purdy, making about the same money as Jared Goff in the low to mid $50 million. Okay, well, Mike Evans just left and was singing praises about Brock Purdy. Do I think Baker Mayfield is better than Jared Goff? Absolutely, I do. Because if you have an offensive line like Detroit's got, I think Baker Mayfield, barring staying healthy and not having some of the injuries he had late in the season, and our offensive line can be good, but it was injured to start the season. Now, okay, you say, oh, Jimbo's, we had a great front end of the season when our offensive line was hurt. True. But still in all, if you look at the players behind and the coaches behind a Brock Purdy, you know, he's got McCaffrey, he's got Kittle, he's got weapons. Okay, so you say, okay, Jimbo's, what about the weapons we got here in Tampa Bay? Well, Otten at tight end is no George Kittle. Okay, so our running backs, they're no McCaffrey, they're no Jamar Gibbs. So to me, do I think Baker's worth $50 million? I'm going to say not really, but he's damn close. He's definitely a high 40s, 48, 49 million, 50 million. He's right in there. But do we pay him now? See, that's the thing. Now, everybody down here in Tampa, outside of maybe T-Crass, and he's kind of switching his tune up a little bit from what he's been talking about, but I don't think you pay him now this year. I think with the unstable coaching staff that we have, we got a brand new offensive coordinator, which Baker Mayfield has not had the same goddamn coordinator for 2 years in a row in a long time. He's played for so many offensive coordinators, it'll blow your mind. And he's got a new one now. Starting out in 2026, going to be a new offensive coordinator. So to me, I don't want to say make Baker Mayfield prove his worth. I think he's already done that. But from a financial standpoint, a cap hit standpoint, come next off season, and having to pay Yaya Diaby to the tune of 16 to 20 million, and to pay Vita Vea somewhere between 17 and 22 million, to me, I would wait. I would let Baker know we want you. I would let Baker know, hey, dude, I want to get you through this season. See how we end up. See where we're going to end up in the draft next year. See if we still have Todd Bowles as a goddamn coach next year. We want you. And Jason Light needs to do everything he can to get Baker satisfied. And I would tell Baker right up front, my plan is to franchise tag you in next offseason. And then take a look, or do what Indy did with Daniel Jones. Do the transition tag. Okay, well, let's talk about those numbers for just a minute. All right, so Baker's contract right now, around $39 million. Okay, so let's just say we put him in the same category as Jared Goff. We put him in the same category as Purdy, and we say, okay, the guy is worth low 50s. We're going to pay him $53 million right now. If Jason Light decides to pay him $53 million right now, I think he's crazy. Because if he franchise tags him in 2000, in next offseason, after the contract's up, okay, the franchise tag going to be about $50.7 million. That's right about where Baker's worth. So I think if they franchise tag him and then work on a long-term contract for more, let's say 53, 55, then that at least gives Jason Light and the Bucs time to think about what they need. What type of record do they end the 26 season in? They're going to have a losing season? They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to go to the Super Bowl. We don't know. So to me, there's no pressure to pay Baker Mayfield right now. I'd rather pay Yaya Diaby, a young guy that I want around for a while, play it out with Vita Vea on the same token, and just tell him he's got to prove it and get better, because really he does. And for that fact, Diaby needs to get better before he just gets paid. So I think Jason Licht needs to sit back, let the year play out, see where we end up at the end of the season, see where we end up in wins and losses, and then franchise tag him early or even transition tag him. Okay, so let's talk about transition tag for 2027. Now, these numbers I just gave you for franchise tag, that's for next year's money. That amount for a quarterback next year, franchise tag, will be $50.7 million. The transition tag next year will be 44.2. That's still more than Baker's making now. Now, is he worth more than 44 million? Yes. But I don't think he's 53, 55 money right now. He very well could be worth that to us come next year based on the market and based on where we end up in record and based on where we end up in coaches and based on where we end up. Shit, we could end up losing this offensive coordinator just like we did Liam Cohen and just like we did Canales. He could be a one and done, just like it's been for the last 4 years. You know, Baker has made these guys, and the Bucs have made these offensive coordinators land head coaching jobs. For Christ's sake, they could fire Todd Bowles and make this guy the head coach, the offensive coordinator this year. So to me, the pressure is not right now to pay Baker Mayfield. I just think they need to free up some of this cap money, get through this year, and not be so strapped for cap money come next year. It'll give them time to play with it, franchise tag him, and then work out a long-term contract. But a lot of people down here are flipping out saying right away pay Baker Mayfield. Well, I don't think there's any pressure to do it. But the fans are calling for it. Now, it's half and half, really. You talk to some fans down here, they're ready to shit can Baker Mayfield now. And when you start talking about mid-50s money, everybody's saying that we're going to have to pay him more if we wait. We're going to have to pay him more no matter what. Whether we pay him now or we pay him later, we're going to have to pay him more than he's making now. That's a given. I agree to that. But I don't think he's worth $55 million. I just don't. Now, if I'm in a position to where there is nobody else available, but we don't know what 2027 is going to bring in the offseason, so I don't think it's going to make Baker Mayfield play for any less money because it's a contract year. So either way, whether he stays at the Bucs or he moves on, and let's just say we don't sign him, do you honestly think somebody else is going to pick him up for $55 million? I don't think so. Maybe, okay, so let's compare it to the Jets. Let's use this year, for example. Now, if Baker was available in this offseason right now, do you think the Jets would have made a move for Baker Mayfield? I do, absolutely. Do I think they would have paid him $55 million? Maybe. Do I think Baker Mayfield would sign a contract with the New York Jets? No. I don't think anybody wants to go play for the New York Jets. So I don't think the temperature for Baker Mayfield to just get picked up in free agency is going to go. So I would just franchise tag him, and then he's got to stay until you work out a contract, or he could hold out and then you pay him. But I just think the options would be better for the Bucs to wait on Baker Mayfield. That's all the point I'm making. Do I like Baker Mayfield? Yes. I'm high on Baker Mayfield. Do I think I want to pay him $55 million right now going into 2026 with a very shitty defense? And we could end up with a losing season and have better draft pick, lose Todd Bowles, and have whatever coach we don't know, and then worry about Baker Mayfield being a big cap hit next year when we need to make moves. So to me, my opinion, and that'll be enough said on this whole deal, but I say we wait. I don't think we should pay him now or pay him in June or pay him in the fall. I don't think we should sign a new contract with Baker until next year. That's just my play. I say we let him play it out. All right, so enough about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then you got this George, we got the Pickens deal with Einstein, Jerry Jones down in Dallas. Everybody's leaning saying that Pickens is going to hold out on his franchise tag. Do I think Jerry Jones ends up paying him? And this stuff with Jerry Jones saying none of these guys need to have their managers talking to Jerry Jones. Oh, come on, guys. I'm so sick of hearing that. He says that about all his star players that, I just want to talk to you directly. You don't need a, manager calling me, yada, yada, yada. Jerry Jones needs to start understanding he is not going to get to a Super Bowl till he starts paying people and he starts keeping star players. Because I don't care, CeeDee Lamb is not enough by himself with Dak Prescott to lead them to the promised land. They need to pay George Pickens. So we'll see where that ends up. I'm sure he'll hold out. I'm sure he won't be at camp. That's for sure, because he can't be if he's holding out, if he hasn't signed his franchise tag before camp starts. So look for that to be a slow going process. All right. So let's get to, I haven't been real good with this lately. Well, last week I hit like half my parlays. But once I got over 4-leggers, I didn't do all that great. Once I started getting up into the 8s and 10s, I kind of crashed and burned. But Jimbo's hot take again is going to be on the March Madness. And this is going to be the parlay that I am going to play for March Madness on the Final Four. I'm going to pick Michigan to win over Arizona. Going to pick the over on the 157.5 on the total points for the Michigan-Arizona game. And I'm going to pick for Illinois to beat UConn. Or Connecticut. Sorry about that. Yeah, UConn. What are you going to say, Jimbo? But anyways, that's it. $10 play on Hard Rock Best Bet is going to pay you right around $100. So that's a pretty good win for $10. So my pick is Michigan to win over Arizona, the over 157.5. Michigan, Arizona score combined, and Illinois to win outright. That's my pick. What do you guys think about that one? So anyways, that's that. And right on schedule and keeping it real. We got, don't forget about, we got our Inner Circle redraft. The last one is filling now. I think we got 10 people in. I think we're half paid up, looking for a few more guys in that league. And then we have our gold Inner Circle Dynasty League that's going to be filling up just before the draft. And so that should wrap up our main leagues. Going into 2026, we do got a Pirate League we're going to do later in June, and we do got a couple chopped leagues due to overwhelming requests. We're going to do a few chopped leagues, but we won't get to those till June, July. So, but the ones right up front, we are doing a redraft. I think the draft is set up to start the day after the NFL draft. That's going to be an all-player draft, not bets and then a rookie draft. It's going to be an all-player draft. And then we have our startup Gold Dynasty league that we're going to do shortly after the NFL draft is draft day for that league. So if anybody wants in on that, get with me. You guys know how to get a hold of me. You can get a hold of me through the app, the DFS app. You can get a hold of me on the iHeartRadio days calling in. You guys know where that's at. And if you don't, you can get a hold of me. And I can get you guys hooked up with that. Just understand on the app, guys, that's a rigorous, I don't want to use the word background check, but we screen we screen you guys to get into that. So there'll be someone that, if you're interested in the app, you'll get Carrie, the girl in the office, will call you, ask you a bunch of questions. Those questions will get filled out, and then that piece of paper comes to the inner circle kind of core of people, and we will decide whether you are in or out on the app, because I'm just tired of the trash, tired of troublemakers, tired of trolls, tired of. So we only want good people. We want active people in our leagues, and that's kind of how we do it. And one little thing before I go, I'm going to give you guys a little blast from the past coming off from the Mid-American Truck Show. These two trucks right here are very dear to my heart. They were some of the very first trucks I bought and had custom paint jobs on. We had a lot of fun back then. This picture right here was a 1994 or 95. The guys pictured in there, no, that's not me. That's a buddy of mine, Steve Stripmatter. He was a driver for me, and this is old Denny Mooney. For those of you guys that know Denny Mooney was a cowboy. He was a country boy. He did not know how to drive a truck, had never drove a truck, and came to work for me and was driving this truck right here. I got pictures of Denny. Denny was big into racing locally. He worked on all the pit crews out at our local asphalt track. He was a big part of our ASA teams with Dave Sensiba and Adam Petty. Denny went on to ride PBR bulls. He was a bull rider. He was a badass. He was a partier. He was a ladies' man. He was a single man. Never got married. Don't know if Denny's married now, but I doubt it. But did a lot of hunting with Denny. I miss Denny Mooney. He was a good kid. Put him in this truck right here. And he used to take it everywhere, and he'd go to the racetrack on the weekends. He's got pictures of all the Hooter girls in Daytona coming out and taking pictures with him. These were some fun days for me. These are a couple pictures I found that were laying around in a box that did not get wasted in the storm, thankfully. And this is old Steve Stripmatter over here driving this black truck. He's a little bit heavier nowadays. He's a little more gray, and he limps a little bit. But, yeah, Steve-O. So anyways, any of you guys that know the background on this, it's kind of a blast from the past. So to you guys that don't know anything about it, it probably don't mean anything. But they were big, fancy trucks. They went fast, and we had a good time back in the day. So anyways, a little bit of that. So that's going to put a wrap on it for me for tonight. Again, you guys get out there and see Norm on the Freaky Tiki out here in Hernando Beach. It's so much fun. He takes guys out. You can drink, he can party, you can listen to music. He'll take you to sunsets. He'll let you play with the dolphins and the manatees, and he knows where all the little cool spots are. And, so look Norm up if you guys are looking for something to do down here in the Hernando Beach, Tampa area. And then again, to everybody that had problems with the fires, hang in there. Hats off to the Hernando Beach Fire Department, Pasco County Fire Department. You guys came up here and helped out. Want to send a big thank you out to all you guys that stayed up all night long and fought that fire for a day and a half. It's still over here smoldering now, but it's contained, it's under control, and how it all started, probably never know. But there's a lot of people that go out in that preserve, so it could have been a cigarette, could have been just lightning, it could have been anything. But it was big, and it was furious, and it was scary. And so we got through and dodged another bullet here in Hernando Beach. We're survivors here in Hernando Beach, and we deal with the hurricanes and the fires now. So anyways, hats off to my wife. You've been working hard with Tailgater Deluxe. You've been working hard with all the hospice patients. I know it's a tough gig. For those of you guys that don't know, but my wife deals with people that aren't so fortunate and are going through a lot of things, old people, crippled people. She changes adult diapers. She holds hands until people go see the Lord. So we love her, and we love what she does with Tailgater Deluxe, our local charity that we do here. taking tailgating to sports fans that aren't so fortunate. And then again, we got Easter weekend coming up. So all you guys and whatever, we don't talk a whole lot of religion here, but I will say this, that Jesus Christ is Lord. And we always want to honor him dying on the cross for our sins and everything that he's done in our lives, our friends' lives. So whatever religion you are, God bless you. And Easter weekend is coming up. So put a nice shirt on and take your mom out to a nice Easter brunch. Take her to church, buy her an Easter lily. It always brings lights up their eyes when you do stuff like that. So happy Easter to everybody coming up this weekend. We will be off on our Saturday night show due to the Easter weekend. We're not going to do that this week. And like I said, next week we got some special guests coming on that are going to be talking some stuff that we got going on. It'll be a fun week next week on Wednesday. So until next week, Wednesday night, y'all be cool, y'all be fun, and peace. Jimbo's out.